is a member of the Mice Chat Podcast Network. MicePod.com. Now, the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.
Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Let's put on the show.
Growing older is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Disafterdark, the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.
Calm down. Thank you. Welcome to, let me guess, just to get this right, where are we? Series 2, episode 22. We've made it this far.
All the twos.
All the twos, and I would say there is just the two of us today because Nick's having taxi problems getting to the bar. But it isn't. So, gentlemen.
Those Skype taxis, you can't depend on them.
I know. I've done the same as I did last show again. Anyway, I'm Paul.
And I am Paul D, the other one, the Scottish one.
And joining us in the Mouse's Head tonight, Seth Kubersky. Have I pronounced that right?
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me on, Pauls.
Very welcome.
Yeah, we do that deliberately to make life easier for people. We realise the problem that, you are American, so Nick has deliberately not turned up, so you just have to remember one name.
It makes it so much easier on my poor little American brain. Thank you so much.
Dear, oh dear. Gentlemen, anyway, welcome to the Mouse's Head. What are you drinking?
I'm representing my country with a delicious Yingling lager. It is America's oldest brewery, founded in 1829. And it's nice, crisp, not too hoppy, very drinkable beer. Perfect Sunday afternoon sitting around beer.
That'll do the job. Mr. D.
Sounds good. I had a couple of beers earlier watching the golf. Congratulations, Rory McIlroy. So I've now switched now. It's pretty hot and humid here. So I'm having a Pirates of the Caribbean themed rum and coke.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice choice. Well, unfortunately, I'm playing designated driver tonight because I've got to finish recording the podcast and then at some point after that, get on a taxi to get to an airport. So that's busy. Not a problem because I'm on orange squash. It's a traditional orange squash drink. And the Disney theme is there is an orange bird.
That's it.
That's as close as I'm actually going to get. But should anyone want to whine at me and say that I'm not drinking and I'm not entering the spirit of things, how do they do that?
Well, they can find us on our website, www.disafterdark.com. They can email us at podcast@disafterdark.com. We're on Twitter @disafterdark, facebook.com/disafterdark, and you can also find us on macechat.com.
That's nicely filled in for the missing Nick there.
Yeah, we're a team.
Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. You can find us just about anywhere. Mr. Kubersky.
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Well, they can usually find me wandering around Universal Orlando. But if you don't want to meet me in person, you can start with my Twitter account, which is @skubersky. That's SKUBERSKY. You can read me every week in the Orlando Weekly newspaper, and that's orlandoweekly.com. And you can also read my blogs at touringplans.com. And I write for the Unofficial Guide series. So the Unofficial Guide to Disneyland, the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World, and other books in those series.
Is there an unofficial guide to Universal?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Hey.
We have a book called Beyond Disney, which covers Universal, SeaWorld, and other non-Disney parks. But stay tuned for exciting news in the very near future.
It's getting big enough to warrant a volume of its own.
More than big enough.
Another one for bookshelf. You were heavily involved in the unofficial guide to Disneyland, Seth, were you not?
Yes. I've been writing that series since 2010, 2011.
Ah, right. We were there in 2008. I have that edition.
Excellent.
And I've got a couple of the WW, Walt Disney World ones as well.
Yeah, the latest edition of Walt Disney World has gone off to the printer and should be in bookstores in a matter of months or weeks. And you'll find a whole new section on Universal and Diagon Alley and the Wizarding World in there that I worked on.
Excellent.
So I have a feeling that even though Jim Hill has done his bit, this is going to be a fairly Universal-centric cast.
Good.
Well, I'm a Disney fan too. I came to Orlando originally because I was a Disney fan. But I spend the majority of my time at Universal. But, if you want to talk about the Holy Land experience, I can tell you the best places to drink there. The parking lot, basically.
Maybe we should try and get an entire show about that. I wonder if he'd realise we were taking the mickey.
I think that'd be dangerous.
And taking the mickey is not a Disney reference. It's just a common way of saying what I wanted to say.
One of those British colloquialisms. There's no point.
Yeah, because apparently I'll get a tag for saying taking the piss.
A view of the news with Disafterdark.
Okay, so what has tickled the news fancies this week? Mr. D, have you noticed anything?
Yeah, there's quite a few things going on. So let's see. This one was more of a rumor, unless somebody knows any differently. But it seems to be picking up momentum that Soarin' is going to be expanded. I believe they're looking at. I think there's 2 theatres right now, and they're talking about a 3rd theatre, or there's certainly rumours about a 3rd theatre. And I think there's some signs of some prep work being done, and that might be the rumour to be Soarin'. I think it's Soarin' around the world that's being rumoured. You guys picked up on any of that?
I have heard of a helicopter with some sort of Nine Eyes camera being flown above Disneyland Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they filmed over Disneyland in California some months back. So yeah, they've definitely been working on it. From what I hear, each different location where it's installed will have its own finale, and then the majority of the show will be the same. I wouldn't expect it to open here until after it premieres in Shanghai, because I think it'll be exclusive to Shanghai for a short period of time. But I know that plans for a 3rd theater go way back to when they first built Soaring in Epcot, and the rumor that I had heard is that Paul Pressler, I believe, who was in charge of the parks at the time, nixed the budget for the 3rd theater. Mm-hmm. But I think it was always in the plans, and Lord knows they could use the capacity there because there isn't much else to do at Epcot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still open for Norway to be a bit more frozen. So, yeah. Watch this space. That isn't even a rumour I've heard, but I'm just going to say watch this space because then I can go, yeah, I was right.
Well, there was a news report going around on Norwegian television. You can find it on YouTube with English captioning. And the Norwegians apparently are not pleased about their pavilion being turned into Frozen.
No? Oh.
Okay.
I would have said possibly that would have been okay, but I guess Arendelle isn't Norway, so I don't know. Ah, dear.
But Frozen seems to be doing pretty well. I think all the Frozen Summer Fun premium packages are now sold out at Hollywood Studios. So just shows the popularity of Frozen in the parks.
Yeah, from what I hear, that entire project was put together in less than a fortnight, which kind of makes you think, what could they have done if they had really planned?
Yeah.
But it seems to be bringing in the money, so that's what matters.
Yeah. Sure does.
But being a Brit, Paul, you'll understand this one. I don't understand it. Blizzard Beach apparently closed because it reached capacity. It's recently reopened again. Mm-hmm. But the headline read, "Beautiful weather in Central Florida has brought the crowds to the water parks." Is there ever a time when it isn't beautiful weather? in between the bits of rain you have?
Well,
What makes a central Floridian go, tell you what, it's a little bit overcast up there. I think I'll not go to a water park.
Well, lightning and wave pools don't mix very well.
This is
And
true.
we've had some really, really terrible thunderstorms coming through the last couple of weeks here. Really torrential, wrath of God sort of storms coming through on a daily basis. Our weather goes from stinking hot and humid to overcast and humid to slightly chilly and humid. It's a wide range.
I don't know. How are the storms looking for this season? Is it a particularly bad start to the season?
In terms of hurricanes, I don't think we're doing too bad so far, but the season really kicks into gear coming up. And, I think that from everything that we've heard with global warming or global climate change, it's going to get worse before it ever gets better.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Luckily, Orlando is inland, so that when the seas rise and wipe out Miami, we'll have nice beachfront property.
And lots of people from Miami moving up. But you can't have it all your own way. Dear, yes. There's some latest release photographs of the parking lot going up at Disney Springs.
Yeah, I saw those, yeah.
Again, exciting news. Look, a car park being
Edge of your
built.
seat stuff.
Yeah. As a big Disney fan, should we really be getting this enthusiastic about, oh, look, a car park?
Anything that improves the parking situation at downtown Disney is cause for celebration. Most locals stay as far away from there as we can because it's just so miserable finding a spot. But the construction is pretty ugly. Trying to drive around that area can be a little hairy right now.
Yes, time to stay on property and get the transportation.
Yeah.
But
as long as you're not stuck on the monorail and have to be evacuated by the fire department.
Yeah, that's those lightning storms again, yeah?
Yeah, I heard that. There was some woman made a 911 call, didn't she? Did that hit
I'm
the
sure
news?
here people call 911 for anything.
It's like, okay,
Yeah,
we've been stuck on here for an hour and they haven't told us anything and there's no water and no air conditioning and it's too hot.
And the real emergency is that the recorded message in all different languages is playing non-stop, driving us crazy. Get us out of here, quick.
Por
Por favor, manténganse alejado las puertas. Over
That's the one.
over and over.
So it's when it seeps in through osmosis and they get off and they're speaking 100% pure Portuguese. How did we get that? How did that happen? Where in the park? Can I get away with that as a Disney-themed beer? A nice bottle of Sagres. What's the theme? It's just the Portuguese. Dear. What else has been going on? There's got to be some other stuff.
There's a Haunted Mansion special in development at Disney Television Animation. Picked up that one.
Really? Is separate from the Guillermo del Toro film that he's been working on?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a special for Disney Channel and Disney XD. And children's book illustrator Gris Grimley of Gris Grimley's Wicked Nursery Rhymes is attached to the project.
Oh, so technically Gris Grimley's ghosts are coming out.
Gris Grimley's Grinning Ghosts.
Oh! That's fantastic. Dear.
So yeah, I thought that was strange, given that there's going to be another movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy's coming back for the second one, isn't he? That's right, isn't it?
Oh, dear Lord, no. Unless he appears in a cameo in the first 2 minutes and the Hatbox Ghost comes out and decapitates him. I do hear that they're looking at Doug Jones to play the Hatbox Ghost. And he's done amazing work. He was in the Hellboy films and Pan's Labyrinth. So that's at least a good piece of casting there.
Yeah.
Dear. I've breaking news today, but I'm hunting for a Disney reference to it so I can get away with saying it. But I know Soap Dish would be mentioning it because it's. But Jim Rockford, James Garner.
Yeah.
He must have done something, but it's a very long career.
We did lots, didn't he, James Garner? Well, obviously the Rockford Files.
Yeah, and he was the original Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
So that was set on board a riverboat. There's kind of... I can't get away with that one, can I? He must have done something for Disney, but someone tell us.
Oh, yeah.
Someone tell us, because we don't know.
Quick, IMDb.
Yeah.
I am, but it doesn't say the... no, actually, I'm not at all. I don't have access to a computer here in the pub.
No, well, you could bring your laptop to the pub, but nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Leave it at home.
Smartphones haven't made it across the pond yet.
They might have done. Now I'm getting away with it. I thought
We're
I got
destroying
away
the
with
illusion.
It. Atlantis, the Lost Empire, was that one?
Yeah.
Was that the Disney animated Atlantis movie that no one saw?
It might
That's the
be.
one.
He played Disney. Yes, Disney's Atlantis. There we go. We found one.
There we go. We
He
got a
put-
connection.
He did the voice for one of the.
Now you don't have
commanders.
to edit this segment out.
Yeah, chances of me editing it out. There's a good 3 minutes worth of material that I'll leave in. Microsoft's new Kinect. Disney are one of the early adopters. I don't know what game they're using it for, but they are.
Well, they were using it for the new Planes game. So you can essentially stand in front of your TV, stick your arms out like you're flying, like you are a plane, and the Kinect sensor will pick that up. You can fly the plane based on the new, is it Fire and Rescue, the new Disney Planes movie that's in cinemas this week?
Oh, I want to do that with a drink in one hand.
They have something similar to that at Disneyland in California, Interventions. They have a Iron Man display where you stand on a sensor and you can fly around an Iron Man suit on the screen.
Oh, where's that?
That'd be cool.
Whereabouts? I'm looking for that. Where's that?
That's in Interventions at Disneyland in California. They've also got a Thor and Captain America meet and greet.
A Thor meet and greet. Okay.
Yes,
That should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have to keep
because we all know that ancient mythological gods like to do nothing better than hang out in a theme park and greet 7-year-olds all day.
If he looks anything like Chris Hemsworth, I'm not taking my wife. she's a fan. Ah, dear. Yeah. Is that
If only we knew somebody that was going to Disneyland anytime soon.
Oh, well, there's always Michelle
Yeah.
from the Disney Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
I, on the other hand, have just wangled another works trip to the States. So, if anyone happens,
You mean it was forced upon you, Paul?
It was forced upon me by me badgering my boss to let me go. So, if anyone happens to be in either of the Disneyland or California Adventure Parks on Sunday the 3rd, look out for a Disafterdark t-shirt, which I've still got to post to everyone else. I'm so lazy. Ah, dear. Is that it? Have we got enough news now? Anyone else?
Did have one other one.
Go on.
If you're a Disney Cruise Line fan,
Yeah.
they're going to bring Halloween to the cruises. So there's going to be in 2014 Halloween on the high seas.
Ooh.
And you're going to have a whole variety of different activities, including they do like the Pirates Night,
Yeah.
which is fancy dress. Well, there's going to be a Halloween themed one, Mickey's Mouse Parade party, where you can dress up, and they're going to have the ship's going to be decorated. There's going to be a lot of Halloween themed stuff, and there's going to be a Jack and Sally meet and greet as well. Nightmare Before Christmas, Sing and Scream, an interactive movie experience where guests are part of the action, followed by a meet and greet with Jack Skellington and Sally. That sounds quite fun.
Wow, on board a ship.
On a ship.
If they're cruising around the European, are they going to take the Disneyland Paris and paint everything orange? Because it'd look like an easy cruise then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't mistake that one. I've got an EasyJet cruise. It's not like it. Ah, dear, oh dear. Anyway. Right. Yeah, I'll tell you what, that'll do for the news. I can't be bothered with anymore. Seth,
Yes.
you're up. We need
My
some
turn.
Yeah, we need some listeners to find out who you are, where you're from, and Yeah, the ones that don't already know you from every other podcast we've heard you on.
Right. I've been doing the rounds lately. Well, I'm a journalist. I live in Orlando. I've been here since 1996. I worked for Universal when I first got down here on everything from the Terminator show and the old Ghostbusters show to the Barney attraction to Halloween Horror Nights and Mardi Gras.
When you say worked, were you one of the...
So I was. I started as in technical entertainment. I was basically a stage technician, running lights and sound and effects for the various shows, and then I moved on to be a supervisor in what they call entertainment production. And those are the folks that put together all of the special events, whether they're corporate after-hours events or the Christmas events, parties and things like the Halloween. So I supervised talent for the Mardi Gras parade. I stage managed a couple haunted houses, put together special events for New Year's Eve, that kind of thing.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after working for Universal for a number of years, I then spent some time doing a very boring IT job for the local government, and started writing for local newspapers and websites. I've written for Jim Hill. I wrote a book series for Intrepid Traveler about Universal Orlando. I worked on that for many years. And I also covered the theme parks and also various kinds of arts and entertainment for the Orlando Weekly newspaper.
Blimey.
I think that about covers it.
Yeah, that's been around theme parks long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope so. My wife thinks it's more than long enough.
And you still want to go back there as a hobby?
At this point, it's more of a career than a hobby. But there are worse ways that you can earn a living. There are much worse ways.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I will say that after years of being one of the people who put together the red carpet media events for the VIPs, it's much nicer being the one walking down the red carpet and eating the free food than the person rolling out the red carpet and having to set it up.
Yeah. So, you must have some nice stories. Are you actually allowed, or do they make you sign some sort of NDA once you leave of what went on behind the scenes as a team member?
As a team member, I wish there were really gory stories to tell. Most of them are just stupid things that I did that I'm not too proud of. Honestly, it's a job like any other. When I first got there, I started out on the Ghostbusters show just shortly before it closed. So I got to be part of the closing crew of that, and that I don't know if you guys ever got to experience the Ghostbusters attraction, but that's one that still lives on in my heart. There are just some fantastic effects, and there are a great bunch of people. A lot of those people, went on to stay in the parks and rose up to high positions after starting as Ghostbusters. I miss those early days of the park when I would take my lunch break and ride Confrontation or Jaws or Back to the Future over and over again. I was really a fan and an employee at the same time. But at a certain point, any job you burn out on, no matter what you're doing, how much you like it, there's long, hard hours. I was glad to take a break from the place when I did. But it's definitely different coming back, seeing it from the perspective as a guest after you've been backstage. Something like the Terminator show, I can never get lost in that. After 40 shows a day sitting in the booth watching it, I know every word by heart, and all I see are the flaws. All I see is a light that's burnt out or an effect that isn't quite working. I can't really just get lost in it like I did as a guest.
Yeah. But the newer ones that have been built since now you can just report on them.
Well, yeah, and I'm fascinated by both how they work as entertainment and as engineering. I've been on the Gringotts ride about 10 times now, and I've made a point of going through without the glasses on, which if you're standing there in line for 4 to 7 hours, I do not recommend riding it without the glasses on. You're not getting your money's worth. But after you've been on it a few times, being able to take your glasses off and look around you and see how it all works is, that side of it is still fascinating to me. I haven't been evacuated off the ride yet, but I'm almost looking forward to it just to get a backstage tour.
Yeah, it seems to be a few reports of reliability problems. How much of an issue do you think that is, Seth?
I think that in a perfect world, they would have had a lot more time to soft open that ride and work on the test and adjust phase. The first time I rode it was during Media Week, and there were only 3 cars running, which, it's a good thing there were only a few people there. Unfortunately, I got a very clean ride my first try, and then it crashed with Helena Bonham Carter and Tim Burton and their family in a car a couple behind me. And when I saw her at the press conference the next morning, she was not a happy camper.
No.
However, my wife got to chat with Tim Burton, and he's really delightful. He was just kind of like a kid in the candy store having fun with the interactive effects. I believe what he said to my wife is, well, doesn't everyone want to be a witch? So,
Yeah.
but, Gringotts has definitely gotten better. The last time I was there, they were up to running 5 cars out of a total of 9, which they have. And I hear that yesterday they had gotten both sides of the loading platform open. When they finally get it up to speed, they'll be able to push about 2,000 people an hour through there, and you'll see these, 5 and 6 hour waits disappear.
Yeah.
But I think for now, even if they're only pushing 1,000 people an hour, the fact that they have 5 hours, 6 hours worth of people willing to stand for half of their day, half of their $100 a day ticket, just for that one ride is kind of a testament to what they've created there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a monster.
Yeah. So you must still have a lot of contacts and friends in Universal. I mean, what's the mood like with the success of Potter and the investment that's gone into the parks?
I would say the 2 words I can ascribe to my friends who work there are the 2 E's, ecstatic and exhausted. Everyone is really proud of the work they've done. These are people. A lot of these people work in both Disney and Universal. There's a lot of crossover between the 2 parks.
Yeah.
For all of the cutthroat competition that the fans like to think there is, the people who actually work there are very good friends and go back and forth very freely. But people, on my Facebook feed all the time, I see my friends saying, I had a really great day at work today in Diagon Alley. I'm really proud of the kind of experience that I'm getting to provide to guests. And the people who are, the wizards in Ollivanders, or the actors in the stage shows, the directors, the writers, all of them are just really thrilled at the way people are responding to it. And, it doesn't hurt that there's a lot of hours to go around. Everyone is got nice fat paychecks because they're working their butts off.
Yeah, I'll bet. That's great. I mean, looking forward to seeing it. We're both, Paul and myself, are over there in August, and really looking forward to seeing it.
Excellent. The capacity issues at Gringotts are improving day by day. The first 2 weeks have been really busy, but I'm already starting to see it slack off a little. You see first thing in the morning lines hours long of people just to get into the area. Yeah. If you're not the first person in the door with the early entry, staying at one of the hotels, by the time you get to Gringotts, even if you get there at rope drop, you're going to see a 2 hour wait. Right. But by the evening, it's really nice. After sunset, you can just stroll in. If you hop into line around 7 o'clock, you'll be out in time for the fireworks.
All right. That's good. That's good to know. I just renewed my subscription to Touring Plans and checked out the crowd calendar on that.
And we've got brand new. We've just published a new 1-day touring plan for Universal Studios Florida, and we've got brand new 1-day and 2-day plans that cover both parks that are going to be published in this week coming up.
Great!
So it's going to be a challenge. A lot of people used to consider Universal and Islands of Adventure. Oh, you can do them together one day, no problem. you can't really do that anymore. You can hit the highlights in one day, but you're still going to be missing out on a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
So, okay, taking all the Harry Potter aside, is there much competition for jobs amongst all your friends? Or if someone comes in the morning and gets stuck on Doctor Doom's Fearful, is there I don't know, is there some jobs going between them? Or is it actually worked on a rota system so that one day you might get Gringotts and the next day you'll be fair and you'll be working Storm Force Accelerator?
In terms of operations, if you're talking about ride and show operations, the people who push people through the rides, those are typically done somewhat on a seniority basis. People who have experience are usually sent to be the opening team on a new ride. I know a lot of people who are at Gringotts trained over at the Mummy because they sort of use a very similar loading pattern. Yeah. Generally you'll either be home to a particular ride or be cross-trained at rides in a certain area. If you're over at The Incredible Hulk, you might also be cross-trained at Doctor Doom and Spider-Man, so that you can be sent across. And there are similarities. Cat in the Hat uses a very similar system to Men in Black. But most of the people that I'm in contact with are in the entertainment department, since that's where I started. Yeah. And in that case, you do have a certain amount of mobility between the different shows. People might come in as Alani on the Disaster show and then audition to get a role over at the Wizarding World. Wizarding World Diagon Alley has really expanded the amount of labor that goes into entertainment, because you've got a live actor who's controlling the shrunken head that's hanging in the night bus. You've got a live actor who's controlling the animatronic goblin in the Money Exchange. You've got the casts of the Celestina Warbeck show and the Tales of Beetle the Bard show. And then you've got all those people inside of Ollivanders. Ollivanders used to only have one shop, and now they've got three, with three wizards going simultaneously. So they've really, they've brought in a lot of new people. They've had a lot of auditions. And Universal does a pretty good job of constantly refreshing their entertainment. They just earlier this year completely recast and
Presumably they advertise for those positions in the Daily Prophet. Yeah.
Nope.
What?
Hang on.
Hello, I got booted off.
That's all right. You're back.
Nice.
What was the last thing you heard? And I'll back up and try to make it editable.
I think.
I just asked you that I presume that all of those positions were advertised in the Daily Prophet.
Yes, absolutely, and the Quibbler.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Actually, there is if you Google, there's a website for Universal auditions, and if you've ever thought, hey, maybe I'll move across the planet and get a job as a wizard, they can certainly use people with authentic British accents. So keep an eye out for their auditions.
I've seen myself in a mirror first thing in the morning when I get up. So if they want anyone to play Mad Eye Moody,
you could have a home in Nocturne Alley as one of the Death Eaters.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I mean, God. So you're a Disney fan as well?
Oh, sure. I mean, I as a kid, long before Universal opened, my parents, I think the first time they brought me down here, I was probably 4 years old, and we would come back every 4 years or so, for a summer vacation. And when I couldn't be at Disney, I would collect the unofficial guides and make touring plans that I would never get to use, and go to the library and check out books about Disney.
Yeah. And the next bit, the modern version of that is some poor kid somewhere in northern Illinois downloading an app with a countdown and just making up a holiday date.
Exactly.
Yes.
You got to dream.
I'm doing my double-digit dance on a made-up holiday. Yeah.
So how did your connection with the unofficial guide start? And Seth?
I owe it all to Twitter. It was back in 2010 when the Wizarding World, the first phase, Hogsmeade, was about to open, and Bob Selinger, who is the author of the guide, his publicist, was on Twitter asking if anyone wanted to interview Bob about Harry Potter. And I said, well, I've actually been there every day since the first soft opening, and I pretty much know everything about it. But I'd just like to talk to Bob because I love his books. And we wound up having a really nice dinner over sushi. And at the end of it, he asked me if I wanted to help work on the series. So it was a very, very lucky little bit of, I don't know, kismet, karma, some K word. But yeah, it's really been a great few years working. It's Bob and Len Testa, who's the other co-author and runs touringplans.com. Really, really great team.
Yeah.
A question that got asked when we were talking to Jim Hill, no one's answered yet. The wands for the interactive, and I'm going to call it Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, just to wind people up. Are they the same? Are they available in a wand design like the replicas, or are they a standalone wand?
So the interactive wands are available in I believe there are 13. They're called the Ollivander's Originals. They're based on a Celtic zodiac, or they claim to be based on the Celtic zodiac.
Yeah.
So those are the wands that were previously available in non-interactive versions. But they're now interactive. They've gotten rid of the non-interactive ones. They've redesigned them slightly. Some of them look pretty much identical. Some of them are, I have the Ivy one. The new version has the same basic shape, but has a lot more detail, some gold filigree, just refined the design a little. So it's available in those styles, and then you can also get them in Harry Potter, Dumbledore, or Hermione's wand. And then they also have dozens of other famous wizard wands, prop replicas from the films, but those are all non-interactive.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about those interactive wands, before they came out, there was a lot of speculation they would have gyroscopes inside, they would have RFID chips inside. Yep. None of that is true. It is just a piece of resin. It's a fancy piece of plastic that the tip is a little bit of infrared reflective glass, so that the camera that's installed in the window with the interactive effect is doing all the work, and all it is sensing where the tip of that wand is. But there's really no fancy electronics. You never need to recharge your wand or change the battery.
And that was me thinking it was going to be the same sort of technology as my Chimera wand. So
yeah, no, they're actually, which is I guess how they're able to keep the purchase price down to only $45, because I would have expected something like that to cost $100 easy. I will say that after the first few days, the initial rush, I see people with the wands, but you don't see queues 20 people deep waiting to use the windows. You'll see a couple people hanging around a window, but it's been managed fairly well.
On that same note, I haven't heard of anyone in any of the various forums that I occasionally visit actually saying anyone's playing Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom anymore. Is that still fairly...
In my experience, the people were basically chased off by scary annual pass holders who would lurk around spots and try to trade cards. There are people who got really, really into that, and I think the fervor of that has kind of died down. I don't know what those cards are worth on eBay anymore, but I kind of think they're the Pog or the Beanie Baby of Disney.
It's still available, and you can still play it, can you? Or
last I checked, yeah, it was still there, but I don't think it was. And I also very rarely see big crowds of people playing that pirate interactive game.
Yeah.
I know Disney's trying a lot of stuff with interactive things. Out in Disneyland, they just started this new Frontierland game, which I tried reading the rules, and it made Monopoly look like Chutes and Ladders. So I couldn't even understand it. But I know Disney's been trying a lot of this stuff. We'll see what sticks.
Back to the wands.
Yes.
Out of all the ones you can get, do you know if I can get Lucius? Because I've got to bring the money over with me, and I will be spending money on it. Can I get?
They accept credit cards.
That's all right. Can I get Lucius Malfoy's in the walking cane?
Oh, you know what? I have seen a wand that's his, but I don't believe I've seen it with the cane. I don't know about that. Though, a lot of those things you can also order online.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers, I know, has an online catalog, and so does Universal.
Yeah, there's a few on eBay going.
Yeah, even if you were able to get that, you might not want to try explaining that to security, bringing it back through the airport.
At airports. No, I don't know. They won't let you through, obviously, with sword sticks.
Yeah, no, they frown on that.
This is a walking stick. What's it got inside it? A magic wand.
Magic wand.
Yeah.
Come to me.
Yeah. Sir, would you mind stepping over here for a moment?
Yeah.
I've got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old. I don't think they're really into Hermione just yet. So they're still a bit scared by it. I don't know what I'll do.
But last time I was in Universal, which was 2 years ago, I mean they were selling those wands like they just couldn't get them in the bag and get the credit card through the machine fast enough. Is that?
Oh, they can't keep them in stock. In fact, over at the original Ollivanders in Hogsmeade, about a week before Diagon Alley even opened, they had to start selling the interactive wands there. And for a while, they were even selling them at the non-interactive price, simply because they were completely out of stock of the old ones, and they just run out. And they had to put the new ones on the shelves before they even wanted to, because they didn't have anything else to sell.
Good God. Yeah. Good God. Oh, dear. So, it's worth visiting then.
If you like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's, Disney can do fantastic work when they want to. There's a lot of really nice things in New Fantasyland. Cars Land out in California is absolutely gorgeous. But there's nothing like Diagon Alley outside of Tokyo Disney Sea. There's just... Hogsmeade it was a wonderful achievement, but it was kind of retrofitted into an existing area. And it was a fantastic improvement over what was there previously, but it's nothing like what they've done having a clean palette to work with at Diagon Alley. It's almost a little disappointing or depressing to be in there for a few hours and then walk out and realize, oh wait, I'm still in Universal Studios. There's the Simpsons ride, because it's just completely this other world, and it's a little sad to get back to reality.
So I haven't been to Universal. It was a good few years ago now. Mm-hmm. Actually 10 years.
Oh wow, you will not recognize the place. I mean,
no, so
if the last time you were in Disney was 10 years ago, everything's pretty much the same. If the last time you were at Universal, you won't know where you are.
No, so I'm trying to place, and I haven't really done too much research into where the original Wizarding World of Harry Potter fits. I remember the Fire and Ice Dragon.
Yes, exactly, and that is now called Dragon Challenge.
Yeah, and I remember the who was the Poseidon's Fury? Poseidon's
Fury is still there, and the Sinbad stunt show is still there. God help us, I don't know why. Okay. So that section is still intact. But Harry Potter took over the area that was called Merlin Wood. So there was a restaurant called the Enchanted Oak Tavern, looked like a giant tree stump, and that became the Three Broomsticks. And there was a little kiddie roller coaster called the Flying Unicorn, and that became the Fly of the Hippogriff. And then across the path from the Flying Unicorn, which is where used to be backstage, that's where Hogwarts Castle went.
Oh, so I thought that, I know this is old hat for a lot of listeners, but I thought they'd actually got rid of the whole Sinbad. I didn't even realise Sinbad was still there.
Oh no, the Lost Continent, they pretty much just split it in thirds and put Harry Potter on just the medieval section of it. The Arabian section and the Greek section have been pretty much untouched.
Blimey.
Now the new train station for the Hogwarts Express is butted right up against the Sinbad Stadium, and they reworked the plaza around it to add more trees and smooth the transition between there and the Wizarding World. But the talking fountain and the bazaar with the street vendors, all that's still there. They did thankfully get rid of the cheesy carnival games.
So, okay, what's next? Jurassic Park or Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings, I don't think is going to happen until the heirs of J.R.R. Tolkien have a change of heart. I believe it's the grandson or great-grandson is adamantly opposed to any projects that involve Peter Jackson and his version of The Lord of the Rings because it made billions of dollars, but apparently he doesn't like it. So, but I can't imagine Universal wanting to build a version of Lord of the Rings that makes no reference to the films. So until that's ironed out, I think Lord of the Rings is on hold. The next thing you're going to see is going to be King Kong, the Return of King Kong, which is going into part of what used to be Jurassic Park. Yep. You take a look on Twitter, the iconic Jurassic Park entrance arch in between Toon Lagoon and Jurassic Park has been torn down and is likely being relocated a little bit up the path. So basically now that when you exit Toon Lagoon, you're going to be in a little jungle-y section, and you're going to have to choose whether to go right towards Jurassic Park or left towards Skull Island. And the King Kong ride, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to take some elements from the King Kong 360 attraction that they have out in Hollywood and blend it with some new dark ride elements, indoor and outdoor. I think they're going to design it to be somewhat family friendly, but you're going to have a mix of both animatronics and 3D, which is the direction that Universal is going. You know, I think pretty much everything you see Universal do is going to involve screens or 3D to some degree going forward, because that's what they've been successful with.
Yeah, it works. Is it ever going to get to the stage where people are going to actually get bored with that kind of technology?
I think you hear a lot of that right now. Especially as movie theaters get bigger and better, and you've got a 3D cinema on every corner, and now I know my local theater has D-Box, which is basically a little simulator seat. If people can go and spend $15 at the local cinema, why are they spending $100 for a similar thing in a theme park? So I think things like the Shrek, their lifespan is limited. But when you're looking at something like Transformers or Gringotts that takes the screens but also combines it with real sets and physical motion and effects, you're not going to be able to get that at home yet. And it really comes down to, is it a compelling experience? I think that theme park fans get really caught up in, I like animatronics, I like 3D. The average guest, they just want, to be told an exciting story, told in a thrilling way, see something they haven't seen before, feel something that they can't feel at home. And they're not really as concerned with, was that an animatronic or was that just a screen?
Yeah. I'd like to just go around and say, I'm in a theme park. I don't want to have to queue for 2 hours and then put bleeding glasses on.
Yeah.
Well, the day that they finally get rid of the glasses, that they can have,
true implant 3D.
Yeah, just a laser beamed right into your eye. I will say my favorite thing about the Hogwarts Express ride is those screens, those windows, because they're not 3D. And originally there was some speculation that they'd be some new kind of lenticular glasses-free 3D. But I think what they did was almost more clever. Because it's this kind of curved screen and this very clever parallax motion in the video that really tricks your brain into thinking it's 3D even though it's flat. And no matter how close you push your face to that screen and try to see around the edges, you can never see the end. It seems to extend into infinity. And it's so much more effective than having to wear glasses that are going to obscure your vision and the other, peripherally. Really one of the best parts of that attraction.
Of all the ride attractions and thrill rides and fast rides and everything, it seems to be one of the more technologically advanced is now a steam train.
Yes, and not even a real steam train because it's pulled on pulleys. It's a giant cable that pulls it back and forth. But it's a really emotional attraction, and I don't use that word lightly. There's very few. As an American, the great moments of Mr. Lincoln or the American Adventure, I get a little emotional about, or the Muppets, because I have a really deep kind of childhood attachment to the Muppets. But
we're going to introduce you to our friend Josh then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big Muppet fan.
Yeah.
But Hogwarts Express is one of those kind of things. Seeing the train pull into the station and billowing steam, and sitting in that cabin that looks just like what you've seen on the film, and hearing, I'd say hearing the voices of the characters, but some of the voices of the characters are not quite all there. That's the one flaw in the attraction. But it really, it's not physically thrilling, but it really is. You get uplifted by it. You come out of that feeling energized and feeling like you really just kind of stepped into a dream for a few minutes. I saw more than one person on, especially that first day of soft opening, when there were people who had stood outside for 25 days straight waiting for some sort of soft opening, finally being let in and just bursting into tears at the sight of that train. It's really moving.
So we've heard all about the King's Cross Station entrance and the special effects they're using to make it look like you're disappearing between platforms.
Yes, the Pepper's Ghost.
Yeah, what's the Hogsmeade end?
Hogsmeade's a little plain, honestly. As you walk in, there's a little kind of stone entryway with a booth where you can conveniently upgrade your ticket to a park-to-park pass in case you were silly enough to only buy a one-park ticket. You've got a long meandering pathway that's wooded, does a fairly nice job of shielding you from the Sinbad Stadium next door. Yep. And then you've just got a series of switchbacks that aren't even really air-conditioned. You've got some fans blowing on you and some shade. But honestly, it's very plain and boring. There's a little bit of background music, but there's no special effects or anything to look at. And you walk up a staircase onto the platform, and you're right there. There's a reason why it typically have shorter waits at that end than they do at the King's Cross end. Though surprisingly, neither end has much of a wait. Most of the day, 10 to 20 minutes at most, and you can hop right on.
Yeah. Does Hogsmeade look like the Hogsmeade station?
Well, they show two different versions of it in the films, at least. It changes from film to film. The exterior does look like some exterior shots. The interior, like when you're on the platform, you don't see the woods around you. What you do see is the tops of the giant freaking roller coaster. It's hard for it to be too authentic when there's giant, steel tracks right next door, and that's a bit distracting. My favorite actor from the films is Ivana Lynch, who plays Luna Lovegood. Yep. Because consistently, every time that she's in town for a celebration event or a grand opening, she always makes a point of pointing out how stupid it is that there's a giant steel roller coaster right in the middle of Hogsmeade. I love her for that. It's true, maybe there will be a Harry Potter Phase 3 that I've heard whispers about, and Dragon Challenge will go the way of the dodo and be replaced by an attraction that's fully themed. But for now, we got to put up with it.
Features 3D glasses and projection.
You know what? I going back to that, I love 3D. I even want to convince my wife to let me buy a 3D television, which she steadfastly refuses. But I would like to see Universal build another family-friendly dark ride based on animatronics in the spirit of E.T. I think they could really use another attraction that you don't need glasses, you don't need a seat belt, that you can just go and have detailed sets and figures to look at. Mm-hmm. I would be all for that.
Yeah, it's almost like it's starting to aim at a completely different market as those start moving away. But the markets are different. So
I mean, people are less patient today. I don't think that you could build a 15-minute slow-moving dark ride like It's a Small World or Pirates of the Caribbean today, especially if it didn't have a hot movie intellectual property associated with it, and have people queue up for it. Universal tried that in Singapore with a Madagascar boat ride and got very mediocre reviews because it wasn't thrilling enough.
I know.
Yeah, you've been there.
You have.
I rode Madagascar and I was it's like, oh well, okay.
Yeah.
I spent most of my time singing "I Like to Move It, Move It."
Yes, I might have to swallow some cyanide. That could be even worse than It's a Small World After All.
Oh dear! I mean, God, if Pirates of the Caribbean: The Ride had followed Pirates of the Caribbean: The Movie, it would probably be a completely different ride.
And that's, I think, what you're going to see in Shanghai, from what I hear.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
See what they've done for that.
So what about Disney then? Where do you think they need to go, or what? Is there anything that you've heard that excites you about the future for Disney?
Honestly, at this point, Disney is a hotel company and a timeshare company with the theme parks as a bonus. And that's what works for their business model. The truth is, as fast as Universal is growing, 2% growth for Disney basically equals 15% growth for Universal.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like the Titanic. When a ship gets moving in a certain direction, even an iceberg isn't going to get it to turn fast.
Yeah.
I think, yes, I want to see Disney start churning out a new e-ticket every year, the way Universal has promised to do, and is going to continue to do, probably right up through the 50th anniversary of the Magic Kingdom. First, though, I'd like to see Disney, invest in their infrastructure, which is what they're doing. There's a lot of maintenance that needs to be done, and while it's not as bad as it was during the dark years, towards the tail end of Eisner's era, there's still, the spit and polish, the perfect cleanliness, the every light bulb is on, isn't what it used to be when I was a kid. And I think part of the magic of Disney, isn't necessarily having a hot new ride every year, but it's that knowing that all the trash is picked up, and everything is painted, and that you're not seeing wood rot. So I think projects like the remaking of the hub in the Magic Kingdom, in the long term, I hope that pays off. The only thing that I hope is that they try to respect their heritage and honor their traditions as they do those kind of things. The Polynesian Hotel was a big favorite of mine for a long time, and it's a little bit sad to me seeing what's being done to the interior of that, and how there's no longer a view from Sunset Point because there's DVC cottages in the way, and there's no longer going to be a giant waterfall and rainforest in the lobby. So I want to see them pay attention to their infrastructure while still maintaining that nostalgia that people come back to Disney for. Because honestly, people are not coming back to Disney for the Disney of today. They're coming back to Disney for the Disney of 20 years ago. Yeah. And that's fine for now. But I'm afraid that unless they start aggressively competing, then 20 years from now, parents are going to be bringing their kids back to Universal, not to Disney.
Yeah.
That's a very, very honest point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But at the same time, I can't name a single character from Avatar, but I'll be there in 2017 when it opens to see what they're able to do with it. I just hope it doesn't open in 17 phases like New Fantasyland. Seven Dwarfs was a really fun ride. I've been on a bunch of times. I enjoy it. My wife loved it. She doesn't like big roller coasters, but she was a fan of that. But the question is it worth the wait? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the money? Is it worth the distraction from other projects getting done? So, that if Bob Iger comes out and announces Star Wars Land and makeovers at the other parks, and then I'll be right back on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you party to any of those rumors of Star Wars Land?
I'm probably party to a lot of the same rumors that you guys have heard. I know that there are plans. I know people who have worked on plans.
Yeah.
As far as I know, no plans have been approved as of yet, or at least if they have, it hasn't leaked out yet.
Yeah.
I think that they might be waiting to see what happens with Star Wars 7 to try to decide whether whatever they do is going to be focused on the new movies or focused on the classic films.
I know which one I'm hoping for.
As long as they skip over the prequels, I'm fine. As long as there is no Jar Jar Binks, I'm all good.
So,
I was trying to think what ride you would possibly put him onto and then avoid.
A spinner ride so everyone can throw up.
yeah.
Misa's so dizzy.
Anyway, blimey, that's the time. Good grief. Anyway, thank you very much, Seth, for joining us.
Oh, fantastic. We're done already. This was easy. I thought we'd be here at least 6 hours.
And
This isn't Gringotts, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I think that's where I'm gonna head right now. Hopefully I can get a ride in before they close tonight.
I'm going to head straight to bed, probably. No, actually, no, I've got to head out. Go in, pick my case up, so. Croatia, here I come.
Well, this has been fantastic. We have to have me on again. We didn't even talk, ridiculously enough, about the beers at Diagon Alley. So that could be a whole nother episode.
Well, I think I'm going to wait until Soapdish's broadband taxi is bringing him back into the bar. Mm-hmm. At which point, then he'd love to talk Potter and beers with you.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yes. Well, hopefully we'll have our own experience in about 6 weeks of those beers.
I certainly look forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Assuming this podcast doesn't get you a flurry of 0 stars on iTunes, we'll have to do this again sometime.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Even if it does, we don't really care.
Yeah, we'll still be back.
if anyone
you get paid the same either way.
Yeah, if anyone wants to give us 0 stars, at least it shows up in the iTunes.
That's true. Yeah.
Even 0-star reviews affect the rating. It's all good.
No such thing as bad publicity.
That's right. Damn straight. Thank you very. Do you want to remind us again where people can find you?
Sure. At SKUBERSKY on Twitter, touringplans.com, and OrlandoWeekly.com. And just say hi when you're in the parks. Run into me.
Will do. You're the one with hair and a beard.
Yeah. Or lately I've been hiding my hair under my Hogwarts Express conductor cap because I need a haircut.
Well, if anyone sees me in the park, as I said, I'm the one who looks a bit like Mad Eye Moody before 10 o'clock in the morning. After that, I don't know. If I'm in a bad mood, I look like Fluffy. So
I'm the one that sounds a bit like Professor McGonagall.
And Nick's not here, so I could go down the Warwick Davis route. But
ooh.
Anyway, how can they find us? Well, here on this podcast. If they don't know how to find us, what are they doing listening to us?
Yeah, if you found us anyway, if you want to communicate with us, our website is www.disafterdark.com, or you can email us at podcast@disafterdark.com. Go on, Paul. See if you remember the rest of it.
Twitter @Disafterdark, Facebook.com Disafterdark, micechat.com, YouTube, Instagram, and all the rest.
Yep, and don't forget to give us an iTunes review, preferably not 0 stars.
But, if you feel the need to.
But feedback would be appreciated. Yeah. Tell us what you want, what you like, what you don't like.
Indeed. Well, that's it. At this point, I press a button and play some music. Thank you very much for joining us, dear listener. We shall speak to you all in 2 weeks' time. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Growing older is mandatory. Growing up is optional. Disafterdark, the podcast that's nearly the same as all the others.